I'm based in London and I look after Videxio for UK and Ireland.
Fantastic. And can you give us a bit of a history around Videxio?
Of course, it would be my pleasure. So Videxio is a video as a service provider. What that means is that we have built and we provide a global network with our infrastructure distributed around the globe via a network of data centers, all interconnected with an MPLS network essentially the bottom line is that to provide high quality video calls, no matter where you are in the world, providing you have, of course, some access to the internet or a 4G data network.
Fantastic. So let me fire off the first question. How easy is it to set up Videxio? And any chance you can show us on the screen?
There is every chance. So what I shall do is I will just start to share my screen. And what will pop up is my Outlook. My Outlook. So the way it works is that within Outlook there is this plugin in the ribbon at the top, which says New Video Meeting. I know this is going to be a little bit small for some of you viewing this, but it's just to show you the concept of the process to set up a call. So now I've generated this meeting invite. It's telling me the location is Dan's virtual room, which is my private virtual meeting room, and it's just encouraging me or the recipient of this calendar invite to click the link, which is contained within the invite, and it will take you to this page. This is the main user interface that drives our service. This is the main interface that all of you as users will come to whenever you wish to join a Videxio meeting. Essentially, what this screen contains is a guide, if you like, a process to guide you through how to join this room. And there are several ways in which you can do that. And they're all denoted by some of the different icons we've got down here. So, really, it's up to you as a recipient of the email to decide how you wish to join this meeting. By far and away, the easiest way is to click the big red button that says Join Through Browser. The great thing about using a browser is that most browsers nowadays have the capability to do video calls from within the browser window, meaning you don't need to download a single piece of software. Simply clicking this button will dial you straight into my virtual meeting room from within a web browser. It makes it extremely easy. Anybody, no matter how old or young or tech savvy you are, can actually join a video meeting. There are other ways to join as well. Some people who are a bit more advanced may wish to not just use the web browser because they may have Skype for Business. And I'm sure we're going to talk more about this during this call, so we'll go into that in a bit more detail later on. Others may have what we call video hardware. These are custom-built video endpoints, the traditional endpoints sold by manufacturers such as Polycom or Cisco. This will guide you how to join from those devices. And finally, for those times when you don't have access to the internet or a data network, you're somewhere in the middle of nowhere and you only have a mobile reception, you can of course join by plain old telephony.
Fantastic. How easy is it for someone to basically add, so if I want to make a call or if I want to add someone, invite someone onto a call, how do I do that?
Okay. Well, that is quite straightforward as well. So there are several ways you can do this. Either you can just copy and paste this link, which is in my toolbar up here, and instant message it to someone, WhatsApp it to someone, text it to someone, send it in an email. Or if you're a little bit more advanced, you can go into the management interface. There's nobody in my room at the moment for this demo purposes, but you can invite someone by dialing. I can tell my room to dial out to someone as well. So two ways, either to invite them to dial into your room, or if you're feeling more advanced, you just choose to dial out to them.
And the dial out option would be I can call them on their mobile. Is that how it works? Or
no, that would be for dialing to a video unit. It's not a dial out to a mobile. This is dialing out to a video type device, or a device that understands video.
Fantastic. How easy
Can I ask a question, Shay? Or do you want them all at the end?
No, go on, carry on.
Yeah, I've seen this, I've used this quite a lot. Dan, but I'm wondering. Very often, customers are getting not joined through browser, but they are getting joined through plugin, which means they have they need a plugin in order to be able to join, because the web browser they are using is not compatible without that plugin.
Yes.
Can you say something about that? What is it clear what browsers will experience this, or what versions will experience this?
Yes.
So we can easier guide the customers getting this screen.
Yes, no, that's a good point to elaborate on. So at the beginning, when I said joining through browser is simple with certain browsers which understand this technology, those browsers which that you do not need a plugin for are Chrome, which we're looking at right now on my screen, and Firefox. So that means with Internet Explorer and currently with Safari, those browsers don't understand this technology. So we've created a plugin to be able to use those browsers to actually join the meeting. So the process is very similar. And like you say, instead of saying join through browser, it will say join through plugin. The first time you do that, this interface will guide you to download that plugin, and then it will launch the call for you.
But that actually means that the person using the PC will have to have administrator rights on his PC to install that plugin, right?
It will mean that. So if they don't, they would have to get someone at a central level to sort of pass it through the company network. Indeed. So yeah. I agree it's not ideal at the moment. At least we have a way to join from these other browsers. I have heard that Apple are now going to support this WebRTC technology. So Safari soon will be able to dial straight in without a plugin. Edge does, which is the new Microsoft browser. So I think we're going to get to a place quite soon where this is going to be a lot easier. The reason it's a bit complicated now is this WebRTC technology is still relatively new.
Yeah. No, good answer. So it's very good to know that we can guide customers to have a preference of using Chrome or Firefox for the time being. Some of them may need IT admin support to get those installed, or the plugin installed for that matter.
Yes.
Fantastic. So Dan, how easy to share files off your screen and show others what you're doing? If you want to share a file and go through a presentation, how easy is it to do that through this service?
Okay, so like I just did, all I did was simply click the presentation share button in order to share the desktop that I was sharing to you. Anybody connected to the meeting, even if you're not the host or the owner of the room, has the ability to share their desktop from whatever device they're on.
Fantastic.
Whether it's Skype for Business, whether you're joining through a web browser, it's the same principle.
Excuse me, can you share your screen from the web browser?
You can.
I tried that with a customer the other day, and he didn't get the button up to do a screen sharing.
It should be in the top left-hand corner. When you move the mouse when you're connected with the browser, it brings up the on-screen overlay, and in the top left-hand corner there should be a small button saying presentation share.
Oh, is it at a different place than the on-screen menu on the app? Is it?
It's slightly different. Yes.
Okay, I'll test that out then. Thank you.
Okay.
Fantastic. So, leading on from there, one of the questions I always get asked is, why should customers choose Videxio over Skype? And you know, they want to know the benefits. Why is Videxio better than Skype? So it'd be great to hear what your point of view on that is, because we all got different answers. But I'd like to know what Videxio would actually say about that. So over to you.
So as to the question, is Videxio better than Skype? My answer to that is they are different offerings. Skype for Business is a good product. In a Skype for Business environment, it is a good product. But the sort of one of the main drawbacks is that it's proprietary. So what that means is that if you're in a Skype for Business only environment, it's fine. But if you wish to bring someone into your meeting who's not on Skype for Business, a web browser, for instance, or someone on a standard-based video unit from Cisco or Polycom, or running some Avaya Scopia software client, or anything that's not Skype, you cannot do that natively within the Skype for Business environment. That's where we come in. So whilst we do compete on certain elements, we also work together with Skype for Business. We've sold to plenty of clients who have Skype for Business, who use our service in order to open up a world outside Skype for Business, to allow their partners to connect from their Cisco endpoints, or whatever it is they might have. So we offer a sort of more rounded interoperability, if you like.
Okay. In terms of Skype, if a customer's got a Skype account and they want to join into our Videxio call, how easy is that to do?
So it's very simple. There are two ways to do it. I'll just share my screen again. So I've just hit the content share button. So one way you can do it is that you can do it from this user interface. So you've clicked on the link you received in the Outlook invite. You see the Skype for Business button down here. You click on it and it will boot up your Skype for Business client. And this will say, in this instance, Dan's virtual room. I would like to make a video call from my Skype for Business client. And now I'm dialing from my Skype for Business client into my personal virtual meeting room. So that's one way to do it. Oops, I just resized that. Didn't like that size. There is a shortcut, if you like. So if I just go back to my Skype for Business interface. So this is the pure Skype for Business client that I've got running here. We happen to be using Office 365. It doesn't matter if it's on-premise or if it's an older version of Skype for Business, or Link for that matter. And what I've done is I've added a folder called Video Rooms. And under that, I've added the virtual rooms that I tend to call most frequently. So mine is here as one of my entries in my Skype for Business client. So the shortcut would be to right-click, start a video call, and automatically it sort of bypasses that one step from our user interface to get to dial into the room.
Fantastic. Cool. Cool. So another question I have, a lot of customers, I think we've sort of covered it, but it'd be great to get some more pointers on this. What are the key benefits over Skype? What would you say the key benefits that Videxio provides? I mean, you said the first thing is you've already mentioned. So what's any other? Yeah.
So interoperability with non-Skype for Business clients is one of the key reasons that we sell our product into customers who have Skype for Business. Another one would be that Skype for Business is more bandwidth intensive. It uses up more bandwidth than our service does, meaning you have to have more available if you have 20 people within your office all wishing to do Skype calls, external calls at the same time, could use up a lot of bandwidth. At the same time, Skype for Business doesn't perform as well under poor network conditions. So with packet loss or whatever it might be, the reasons behind the poor network, it doesn't cope as well with that.
Fantastic. And is there any additional costs for Skype users using Videxio?
So the pricing for Videxio is very straightforward. There's one cost per license, and that includes everything, whether it's joining in from Skype for Business, a web browser, the audio dial-in. We can live stream like we're doing right now, live streaming and recording. All of that is included in one price.
Fantastic. Any questions from Martin and Evan from Zimmer and Peacock regarding Skype?
Well, just one question regarding people using, say, old.
Okay, we lost you there a second, Evan. Go again.
Oh, I'll repeat. People using the old version of Skype, so not Link or Skype Business, can they also use the Videxio service? Well, just one question regarding people.
So you're talking about pre-link, so Office Communicator type.
No, the original Skype version, which have existed.
You mean consumer Skype?
Yes, consumer Skype.
Right. So that's a complicated one to answer. The short answer is you can join our meetings from a consumer Skype client. It's not something that we officially brag about, if you like, and the reason for that is that Microsoft, since the acquisition of Skype, consumer Skype, has been tinkering around a lot with it, and in this tinkering they often do things which breaks the integration, if you like. So whilst it can be done, I would always guide someone to use the web browser to dial in rather than consumer Skype, because you're going to have a much more stable meeting. You're guaranteed to connect, and there are better levels of functionality as well through the web browser. So whilst we can do it, I wouldn't recommend it.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks. So we'll move over to the next question, which is, can I use Videxio with my current endpoints and hardware?
Okay, so there are a bunch of video endpoints out there. I mean, Polycom, Cisco, Picturetel in the older days, there's Lifesize, there's a whole range of different endpoint manufacturers who have got their kit in many, many meeting rooms. The short answer is yes. Any of these units, regardless of the manufacturer, because they all use the same standards, be it H323 or SIP, any of these devices can dial into this particular meeting that we're having. We can take it one step further, however. These devices need to be, much like a telephone, when you buy a handset, if it's not registered to a service provider, it's an expensive piece of kit, but you haven't got a phone number. If you're not tied to Vodafone or whoever, there's no way to make or receive calls. It's the same thing in the video world. If your video endpoints aren't registered to something, they're not provisioned with a number to be dialed and to dial out. The traditional way, if you like, the old, I'm going to call it old-fashioned, given that we're talking about the cloud, is that customers would have to have bought some on-premise device to register these units to. What we do, because we're a cloud provider, is we register them directly to the service, directly to the cloud. So the cloud then provisions these endpoints, enables them to make and receive calls, and they become part of your deployment, meaning there's a centralized directory with all of these endpoints already having the directory of other devices on the network. So it just simplifies things a lot.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Any question from Evan and Martin? No? Fantastic. So one of the key questions that we have in this day and age is security. How secure is Videxio over the competitors? That's the question that I get asked by a lot of businesses. They're worried about security with all the stuff that's going on. So what guarantees can you give us in terms of, how secure is Videxio? Yeah.
So first I'll say I understand the concern. Obviously, when you're essentially outsourcing your video to another company, to us in this instance, you're going to want to be sure that everything is secure. So I will say that we take security very, very seriously. We have spent a long time in putting into place the various security mechanisms that we've got. The Videxio points of presence, if you like, are hosted in data centers around the world. So across the US, EMEA, and Asia, we have data centers running our equipment. All of these data centers have multi-factor security for access, for a start. Each of these facilities is compliant with a well-known security compliance standard, be it ISO 27001 or SOC 2 or whatever it may be. So everything there is completely protected. And then the calls themselves. Every call that is made on our service is encrypted using high-level encryption. Access to the web user interface I showed you briefly uses SSL and TLS, so that is also an encrypted channel. Any passwords to access the service are all encrypted, stored, but not readable by humans or computers. So even if someone gets a hold of that database, which is obviously going to be very, very difficult, you still can't read any of the data because it's all encrypted. And the final sort of piece of security, if you like, is pin code protection on virtual meeting rooms. You can pin code protect any virtual meeting room so that nobody can join in unless they have that pin code. There's a whole bunch of other technical stuff that we've got with denial of service protection and protection against spam calls and lots of other bits and pieces, but it's probably beyond the scope of this call.
Fantastic. So that's a great question, and you gave us a secure, more comforting answer that we can take back to our customers. And I'm sure a few customers that are watching will feel more reassured, because that's what one of the key questions we always get asked is, how secure is Videxio? Some customers have said to me that with Skype they've had issues in terms of security as well. So they don't really trust Skype, but they're prepared to use it until they find the next solution. And hopefully now we're in a better position where we can offer them Videxio as a peace of mind in terms of security and the overall quality of the calls. Cool. So now my next question is, why does cloud video, in your opinion, why does cloud video conferencing really give business the edge? What would you say?
Okay. my answer to that would be, let's take a very quick history lesson here. So personally, I've been involved in video conferencing for the last 18, 20 years or so. It's pretty much all I know. So I've seen it evolve over the last 18 and 20 years. But it's only really been since cloud video has come onto the scene that everyone can use video. It used to be very expensive. It used to be room-based only. You had to book a room and there was a whole process for setting things up. Now, no matter how big your company is, if you're a startup with 2 or 3 people, whether you're a multinational with 100, 200,000 people, doesn't matter how big or small you are, you can easily consume video and use video. Because it's in the cloud, it's infinitely scalable. You can have as many or as few licenses as you want, and it's ultimately flexible. You can go up and down with licenses. If you're not happy with the service, for whatever reason, you can get out. There's no contracts. You can leave if you need to. So the way I look at it is there is absolutely zero risk, whether it's financial risk, because you can get out of the contract anytime. Whereas a technology risk, well, there isn't really a technology risk because we keep the technology up to date. I mean, the beauty of the cloud is that we're constantly working on it and updating things, so it's always got the latest technology. So that's not 100% answering your question as to why it gives businesses the edge. The answer to that is more around what video conferencing can do for an organization in terms of.
Maybe Dan, can I give a kind of perspective? I mean, this morning. Yeah. I mean, at Zimmer and Peacock, we use this technology day in, day out. So far this morning, I've spoken to a client in Estonia using the Videxio service, and I've spoken to a client in South Korea using the Videxio service. So I'm based in London. I've already had, one guy in Eastern Europe, another guy in, Southeast Asia, and I've never met either face to face, but yet we're doing business because I'm able to get online, build a rapport with them because they can see me. I can share content the way you've shown it. So for me, I love the technical part, but actually our business isn't possible with the global reach that we have if we weren't using cloud video conferencing. So I am an end user, and that's, I love it. I've had 2 meetings this morning. I haven't left the office.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent.
Thank you for that. So, I've got a few more questions for you. How does your pricing, Videxio pricing, compare over competitors? Skype is cheaper, so why should I choose Videxio? So
So I would say we are very competitively priced. For what you're getting, I personally believe it's very, very cheap. Comparing to Skype isn't a natural comparison because they're not like-for-like products. But having said that, saying Skype is cheaper, the answer is yes, it can be, but not necessarily. So the cost per license for us, without going into details, it can range, depending on the number of licenses you get. You can get as low as £2 or £3 per license when you're buying a lot of licenses. And at that point, we're not more expensive than Skype. So I will also refer you to the interoperability aspect of things. And when I'm saying it's not like for like, we work with all types of devices, not just Skype for Business. So it does open up the world to a bigger a bigger ability to communicate with everybody.
Okay, fantastic. Just a quick question before we go to the last question. It's more or less around the app. Videxio have launched this app that you can use on a smartphone and tabs. What's your feedback on the app at the moment? Because I find it really, really useful, especially when you're on the move. You can't get connection on your laptop. You use the app. I think it's brilliant. What's the feedback you're getting from customers regarding the app?
Well, thank you for your feedback. But we've also heard similar things. They love it. They think the quality of it is very, very good. The user interface and ease of use of it is also very, very good. What I particularly like about it is that when I'm on the move and I want to join a call, of course I can just join as audio only, but what if someone's sharing a presentation and a PowerPoint or whatever it may be? With the app, if I am somewhere with low bandwidth and I can't join via video from the app, I can still make a phone call from the app using presentation mode. So I'll be an audio-only participant and hence not using up much bandwidth, but I'll still be able to view any presentation that's being shared. The only thing I wouldn't see is the image of you, or I wouldn't say my image, but I can live without that just to see the presentations. So the feedback we're getting is very, very good.
That's a great point. And how is your success at the moment? Because you've launched streaming live to YouTube, and this is what we're doing at the moment, also recording. That seems to be a massive tick in terms of customers, big organizations who can't always get everybody into a meeting room, but want them to access the internet, view town halls, etc. What you've done I think is brilliant. So what's the feedback you're getting from your clients?
So it's not been that long, I suppose, 3 to 6 months that we've launched this streaming and recording product. And in that time, it's been extremely successful. Reasons being, we're one of the very few, possibly the only provider that offers it included for no extra charge. It's extremely simple to use. And like you say, it has so many applications. I think every organization out there, within reason, can have the ability and the need, not the ability, but the need to stream out to a larger audience. Whether it's an ego cast from a CEO, I could just be the person presenting to myself, if you like, but just streaming myself out. It makes it very easy to be your own content developer. I can make videos. I can make training videos. There are so many applications for this type of product.
Brilliant. So my final question to you is, what more can we look forward to from Videxio in the coming months in terms of innovation? Because you seem to be a company that's always looking to innovate. So any little tips and tricks or any hints you can give us about the future?
Yeah, that's a difficult one to answer because the R&D